haunted houses versus scaling a business. My scariest scaling moment wasn't failure, it was surviving the screams. 60% of entrepreneurs admit that fear of failure stops them. 60%. So 6 out of, if all of you guys that are employed and you have a boss, 6 out of the 10 bosses that you guys would encounter have an extreme fear, not extreme, but a significant fear of failure, which prevents them from taking aggressive action. Okay? So fear of failure. Fear is part of the ride of this game of entrepreneurship. The amount of times, I remember being 21 years old, sleeping on a broken bed in Melbourne CBD. I lived on Latrobe Street in my earliest of 20s. And I remember working for a variety of different companies. I was in tech sales. I worked as head of sales for a startup when I was 22. That's when I started making my first 6 figures. My agency started to grow again. I quit work twice to pursue my agency full time. Both times I failed basically completely. One of the times I got extremely sick. I nearly got hospitalized from overworking. So for me, what I found was fear of failure drew me a certain way. It made me want to work harder, but for a lot of people, it makes them, recluse and go inward, right? But the thing is, there's 3 ways to actually intellectualize this haunted house, what we call running a business. Step number 1 is you need to expect the fear. Don't expect it to be easy. X amount of businesses go out of business within the first 2 to 5 years, and even more so after 5 years. That's why they say it's a decade-long game. When you look at Instagram and you see all these young guys that are doing 50 million at 23 or a million at 17, these things happen, but they're statistical rarities. There's 27 million people in Australia. Okay, the median, let me rephrase that, not the median, but the mean, the average income in Australia for an Australian is like high 60s or low 70s per year, like say 65 to 72K per year, okay? So in Australia, if you're making over like 400 grand a year, you are literally in like the top 1%. And then in America, the average might be around 50-ish K a year. So there, I think it's if you're doing over 400K a year, it's a bit of a similar situation, depending on what part of America you're in. If you're in Los Angeles or New York, obviously it's a bit different. But these things are statistical rarities, so you should already go into it expecting to know that it's going to be extremely difficult. That's number 1, expect the fear. Because if you expect it, okay, it's going to do 2 things. It's going to make it bigger, and then when it happens, you realize it wasn't as big of a deal as you thought. But the second thing is to don't run at the first scream. Did you know that there's 3 biggest fears in the world? One of them is cancer, one of them is dying. Do you know what the third one is? Or at least the top 5? Fear of public speaking. Fear of public speaking is a top 5 fear in the world. How crazy is that? So imagine how many people would have done public speaking in high school. They do it once, they never do it again. Oh, thank God, I'll never have to do that again. I'm 16. The people that do it twice, do it 3 times, do it 5 times, do it 10 times, do it 100 times, do it 1,000 times, next minute you're doing a TED talk. And you're getting paid, to speak in front of people. Next minute you're doing content. Next minute you're Alex Hormozy who's made 100 million in a weekend. Next minute you're Ty Lopez. Next minute you're Grant Cutter. So it's really important that you just don't run at the first scream, because many, many people will give up the first time. But those that keep going, there's clients that I've literally called and annoyed for years. And eventually they're like, you know what, this kid's obviously crazy. I'm just gonna give him a shot, because he's been so persistent, professionally persistent, in being able to follow up and eventually close out a deal, okay? The third thing you must do, which I've already touched on, is you need to grab the treasure in the dark room. So in a lot of the haunted houses, let's move it away from haunted houses. A lot of you guys have played Call of Duty. I was a COD player, shout out to the Modern Warfare 3 and the Black Ops players. I remember playing that on PlayStation 3 in particular, when I was growing up. And what I was always super excited to do when I was playing zombies is get a freaking ray gun. Shout out to those that know what I'm talking about with the ray gun. That's when you're about to go dummy on the zombies, right? But in order to get to the ray gun, you had to find the mystery box. It's the same with business. You have to be able to endure the multiple rounds of pain, slay the zombies, deal with churn, deal with client retention, drop churn, manage employees, manage emotions, manage staff, be even, and be able to still get the ray gun, find the gold. That's how you win this game, man. So look, it's very simple. If you want to walk through your haunted house, just click the link below or DM us Brave or comment Brave, and we'll show you how we do it.